family, and they're here to see the giants of the wrestling world, Mountain Fiji and Matilda the Hun. Ooh, Mountain Fiji, you better watch out, baby. Matilda the Hun will jam you with that billy club. This is a Gestapo match. Anything goes. Matilda the Hun choking Fiji, popping her in the eye. Matilda the Hun has control over Mountain Fiji right now. Choking her in the corner with that designated white flag, surrender flag, if you will. Oh, what a slap there by Mountain Fiji. Fiji going after Matilda the Hun. Fiji trying to put those 350 pounds to use. Oh, look at this. Matilda going over. The winner of the match, Mountain Fiji.
Briefly, you could say Glow was a show about women's wrestling, but briefly, we'll never describe it.
Women's wrestling. Now, it's been around for years, but never quite like this.
It was something new. It was women kind of taking over.
These beauties are bound to destroy each other.
Professional wrestling basically was a male-dominated sport. Glow was something that really gave the female athletes a chance to get on TV and excel.
There was no male image on Glow. There was no big guys leading us to the ring, and it was all women.
I always kind of thought of it as like a vaudevillian show mixed with a little bit of like Saturday Night Live mixed with, you know, female wrestling.
Americana goes up to the rope, takes her over. What a match!
It was the 80s. Everyone had money, everyone was young and happy and out running around having fun. The sexual climate was charged.
We're standing there in our giant glittery hair and little outfits.
It wasn't just wrestling. We had the little skits and we sang the songs.
And it was very cartoon character, like good guys and bad guys. And I felt like it was very empowering.
We're strong and we're capable, and there's nothing wrong with being a professional athlete.
It was women coming out. It was so unusual to see a bunch of girls, number one, rapping. So we were rapping in these little short costumes.
The Chicago Bears were very popular, and they had come out with their rap. And so rapping at that level was kind of trendy.
Everything was exaggerated. It poked fun at the economics, it poked fun at the Cold War with Russia.
It went beyond what the World Wrestling Federation had ever done.
Matilda the Hun.
Because of our wild makeup and our skimpy costumes and the fact that we weren't afraid to call it entertainment.
American ribs are all the same. They cry like babies when I give them pain. I fight to win, and that's for sure. America, I'm superior.
Music, comedy, and real good fighting. And bitch fighting is good. People love that.
It doesn't have to be, is wrestling real, is it fake? Doesn't matter. Because they're like live comic strip characters. And that's what makes it fun.
We have got a crackerjack show today, fans. The comic book hero Lightning squares off against the British bombshell Godiva.
We were all a character, and we were in that character mode pretty much 24/7.
We had to call each other by our character names. We were not allowed to call each other by street or real names.
Real names.
Yeah, we had to be MTV and Jailbait.
As a matter of fact, it's hard for me, even looking back, to remember what their real name really is.
From Beverly Hills, California, Tina Ferrari!
am Lisa Moretti, and I played the part of Tina Ferrari on The Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, and actually was part of the original group that shot the pilot.
I've got so much respect for Tina Ferrari. She's one of the most beautiful women in Glow. She fights fairly, and she never breaks the rules.
When we first got the call, we're gonna go to this audition. It's about ladies wrestling. We're like, come on, I don't wanna do that. Bunch of big girls throwing me around. I have no idea or no desire to know about wrestling. I don't know anything about it. And why would we wanna go get beat up? You know, come on. She says, well, I think they're paying us to show up. Okay, I'm there.
Well, I was in the medical field. I was a phlebotomist, somebody who draws blood in the lab, and I wanted to be an actress. Well, I got with the agency, and the agency happened to have this audition.
They did an open call, and they didn't advertise that there was going to be any type of wrestling whatsoever.
Now, when I got there was a bunch of girls there, and this guy comes out and says, this is going to be about women's pro wrestling. And I swear to God, a third of the girls got up immediately and they left.
Tina and Ashley.
We really kind of didn't know what the hell we were doing as far as TV. I think that some girls were there because they wanted to be in television. Like my tag team partner, Ashley, she was called upon to show up for an audition for a TV show, of which she did several auditions during the week for different kinds of shows. This was just one of them.
I got this call from my agent to go on this audition. Very exciting children's show, and I was very jazzed about it. I was looking at it as a stepping stone to being this big actress.
This was an opportunity for us, you know, to be on TV, get started with something, and then you just kind of hope that it evolves into, you know, something bigger.
I mean, these were not like creme de la creme model girls. We didn't cast from, you know, bikini model agencies or anything. These were girls that got an acting casting call. Imagine having an idea of putting good-looking girls in the ring, and they figure, first let's make them good-looking, then let's see if they can wrestle.
Nowadays, there's all kinds of like wrestling camps and wrestling schools. There wasn't really any of that. It was a lot more closed up than that.
They started the camp, I call it Camp Glow. Sleazy old smelly gym.
It was nasty and stinky and dirty, and the mats had blood stains on them, and each corner had a spittoon.
When I showed up, there was at least 100 girls there to actually go through the physical audition for Glow.
Imagine beautiful girls that you kind of can't relate to, you know, because I never really felt like I was one of those. And then up in the ring, in the dirty, stinky ring, is Mondo. And he looked like the only guy in the room that fit.
One of the famed Guerrero family, Mondo Guerrero, and the family was tremendous. Gory Guerrero, he had the sons, Chavo Guerrero, Mondo Guerrero, Hector Guerrero, Eddie Guerrero, wrestling dynasty almost. And he trained the girls.
Poor Mondo. He took the gig as a gig, you know, he's having a payday, right? This poor guy shows up and he's thinking, what the hell am I gonna do with all these things? How am I gonna make them ready for a wrestling show on television? So one of the things that Mondo did is he demanded everyone's respect and attention. He gets us doing some drills, and of course you can't start throwing us around. I mean, you gotta take it in way baby steps. People can get hurt just getting into a wrestling ring. So, I mean, not 2 minutes later, these blonde girls were hanging on the ropes. I think he was teaching us how to sell pain, you know, how to act like we're writhing in pain, which is kind of funny, and it's kind of hard to do for the first time. But these girls started laughing.
To grab the respect that I needed on those girls on me, I grabbed one. I forgot who it was, telling me it was fake, and I grabbed her and I put her to sleep. What? Knocked her out right there in front of everybody could see it. When she went down, she started flip-flopping like a fish. They believed then. They believed then. And from then on, it was nothing but serious work with it.
And instead of feeling sorry for her, I was just like, I love this man. I am so sold on this. I want to come back for some more.
The training, to me, was hardcore.
Training was, so painful. I could barely walk down the hall going like this, you know, it's like, oh, gotta lift my arm to push the button on the on the elevator to get down. I got to go back down and beat myself up again.
We were working 4 hours in the morning with like an hour, 2 hour break, and then 4 hours in the afternoon.
It was almost like they wanted to see if they could break you.
Mondo said, okay, which one of you girls can ram your head into the turnbuckle, turn over, and land on your back? And I was the first one, and like, I can do it, I can do it.
And they would drill on little things. Like, when we get a body slam, we always land like this. Well, let's practice that. Boom, 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 boom. Chin, chin to the chin, chin to the chin, chin to the... You have to, at the timing of the arm hitting the back at the same time, you're rolling back and forth. Just rolling. Then you start lifting one leg up, boom. Then the other one, boom. Then the other one, boom. Then both of them, boom. Then both of them. Then you get up and boom. Then you get up to the top rope and you go boom. And if you can control that, you can take anything.
The ones that made it, the ones that stuck through, it surprised you because it wasn't the obvious choices, it wasn't who you thought it was going to be.
It was just boom, boom, boom. I mean, it all just happened so quickly at that point. And before I knew it, I was packing my bags in LA and moving out to Las Vegas to the Riviera Hotel.
In the beginning, we were staying actually at the Riviera Hotel.
They took a stage, they turned it into a sound stage for the show, and moved us into our rooms, and that was it. They wanted us actually to get rid of our apartments, wherever any of us were living. The suggestion went out, you know, that you don't need it, you're gonna be living here.
At first, when you show up in Vegas and you're living in the Riviera and you're on the Strip and you're seeing all these lights, 3 days of it is just amazing. The fourth day, you're seeing circus, 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 and you want to shoot somebody.
It was like real, you know, Squaresville. So it was hard to kind of feel like you had a life, you know? So the emotional and the psychological change that you were exploring, that was traumatic at times.
After a couple of weeks, they got us apartments, literally just down the street from the Riviera. Once we were chosen, and it was sorted that you're a good girl, you're a bad girl, you know, we, roomed that way. When we go to the Riviera, to the buffet, or if they say we were just walking through the casino, or whatever, we would have stayed in character, good girls over there, bad girls over there.
Fiji is going to town, Ben. Hey, stop it, Matilda the Hunt. Stop it.
One of the best ones at it was dementia. Demi, without any makeup on, could just, she could just walk through and the girl could go without batting her eyes for over 10 minutes.
Hey, you, don't yourself down. You're about to see the best show in town.
It was a very, very surreal place to be because you had freedom, but not enough to do what you kind of wanted to do.
They really wanted to monopolize as much time as they could have. They didn't want us to have any life of our own outside of Glow.
We had curfews. We had a definite set of rules and regulations about stuff like partying and late nights and all that stuff.
Good couldn't hang out with the bad, bad couldn't hang out with the good. We got fined, $50 fine if we got caught, and $250 fine if we weren't home by a certain time.
By the way, you're 2 weeks late with the rent.
The ones that were, quote, the wild ones got the room with me, and Mom would always make sure that they were in bed, by 10, in the room by 10, in bed by 11,
All the girls were in fear of getting busted for a curfew, and then we sneaking around doing stuff just to get away with it.
We'd be out late, we'd try and sneak in, we would have all these code words for going to do our laundry and all kinds of stuff. I always got in trouble. We were very tightly reined, and I was just a little bit rebellious. And I was thinking, you know what, I'm 24 years old, I can do what I want.
All right, quiet down, girls.
both of you. No more cooking in the locker room. We've got complaints from the neighbors. Seems your food drove all the rats next door.
My name is Stephen Blance. Originally, I was the behind-the-scenes person, first the comedy writer and then the head writer. And then in the second season, I became the referee.
Hey, I'm the ref. Obey the rules. Don't try and make us look like fools, because I'm the law, and there's no doubt. If you do wrong, I'll count you out.
In order to describe what happened for women on the Glow set, I think you have to get an idea of what was happening with women's wrestling at the time. First of all, women's matches were a rarity. They were an oddity.
There were two things that drew people. They were midgets, always packed the house, and the ladies packed the house, because it was unusual. And so they weren't used a lot. They were used to bring in people and build the house up, you know, sell more tickets.
Until Glow, there really wasn't a glamorous exposure of women. Women were thought of as dykes, unfeminine. Why would you join wrestling? There's something wrong with you. You know, that was kind of the attitude.
If you weren't signed by a big organization, what you did was basically drive all day through states to get to the arena to wrestle for maybe $15 or $20.
I was a wrestler before Glow, and they wouldn't let me wrestle a man. Not allowed in the State Athletic Commission. So they told me I could wrestle a bear. So they put me in the ring with a 750-pound, 7-foot bear. And I lasted longer than the men. And so they knew they had somebody formidable to deal with, and I wasn't going anywhere. You know, places where they would have wrestling were kind of slimy in those days, especially for women.
Now comes this TV show, 1 hour every week of women's wrestling.
Direct from the Riviera Hotel in the entertainment capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada, it's the show with more battling beauties, more amazing action, and more smiles per hour, the all-new Glow, gorgeous ladies of wrestling.
It was a small, low-budget show. I used to make jokes about it being so low budget and the promoter being so cheap that I put David McLean in a phone booth and said his office was the phone booth.
Hello, Allstate Insurance. This is David McLean from Glow Productions. Have I got a great idea for you? For a small fee, I can let you use Matilda the Hun as a spokesperson for your homeowner's policy. You see, if they don't want to renew, she can threaten to come over to their house. Hello?
Glow was created by David McLean. It was a dream that he had to bring wrestlers on television, and female wrestlers, because David had watched wrestling since he was a little boy, and he was just a huge fan. So he finally had these auditions and had all the talent, but he really needed the money for the show to run. He got introduced to Matt Cimber somehow.
Our director was Matt Cimber, who is a Hollywood legend. He started on stage, was married to Jane Mansfield, and he went to Hollywood to direct films. He actually directed Liza Minnelli's first show and Orson Welles' last film appearance.
Let's get some order in this court.
I said, what's so funny?
We're the ones they call Black Six.
Matt Cimber, the infamous Matt Cimber.
Matt Cimber was a trip.
He was very hard, very strict.
Matt Cimber was very good friends with Mr. Rickless, who owned the Riviera Hotel and was married to Pia Zadora at that time. He was big time.
Matt and Mr. Rickless were friends going way back. Matt had directed movies for Mr. Rickless with his wife, Pia Zadora. Matt drove a Maserati, which I later found out was a gift from Mr. Rickless for doing one of the movies. They had a very close relationship. Mr. Rickless really took care of Matt.
To get Rickless, you had to keep Cimber, and to have Cimber, you had to have Rickless. But I don't know that David necessarily wanted Cimber to direct the show, because I think David kind of thought he was taking reins, and he wanted a little bit more creativity with it.
I'm David McLean. I'm your host. You've seen my Glow girls coast to coast. You've seen them fight and take a stand. They've conquered all of TV land.
His idea was to combine the glamour and the grit. Matt's idea was to make it all campy, ridiculous, silly.
He had to have Matt to have the money. So that's how we got Matt Cimber as our director.
Matt Cimber was very clever. While the girls were training, he watched them, and he developed their characters largely out of who they already were.
Glow was a character-driven show. It was really designed to emphasize each character. For me, I really lived and breathed Little Egypt.
We were in the ring for the first time, kind of all, getting stretched and warmed up, and Matt Cimber walked up to me and he goes, "Jailbait."
All you girls are such a disgrace. Just wait till Mama owns this place. At ringside, I'll cast my spell, and you'll be among the bodies that fell.
As to how a Big Bag Mama came to be, as far as I know, this was a concoction of Matt Cimber.
Tonight, because of my voodoo, you will grovel at our feet. You understand?
She was supposed to be the Louisiana voodoo queen. I would throw dust on them and then they'd be under my power and I'd make them do things that they wouldn't normally do.
Could it be? I think Fiji is caught in a spell.
They had a costume for me and I hated it. And I wore it right in the beginning, but I started changing the costume.
Hey, I'm Hollywood. Sure, I like to have fun, but I don't mess with drugs.
I'd go into a lingerie shop and I'd get corsets and gloves and fishnets, and I started creating that character the way I saw her fit.
They saw me as a bad guy right away. Don't know why. They came up with Godiva, and I sort of researched it and gave her a British accent and said, "Hey, can I have a horse?"
From Coventry, England, the British bombshell, Godiva!
He took their quirks or their whatever it was about them that made them unique, and he says, "That's you, just magnify it. You're that person." Magnify it and put it in outer space. I guess some of them.
Arlene and Phyllis. The ropes are not too high.
Yes, they are too high. She can't get in. The ropes are too high.
Well, come under them then.
I tried. It's so deep. Push the rope down.
We were in our 20s, doing 65. They wanted sexy housewives, and I'm like, no, if you want us to create characters, we're not doing sexy housewives. They're not good or bad. Everyone's a whore.
Very nice for the little children to be half naked. That's very good.
To them, all the girls are whores. So we're just there to clean up.
You're a hussy. Look at him. Look at the painted tramp. Look at him.
It was really fun to do, and it was no stress at all. It was no stress. And the wrestling that we did in that was just as bad as we were, as wrestling as housewives, was as bad of wrestlers as we really were. We sucked. We really sucked. I mean, we were. I got injured while we were training, and I thought, oh, I am not going to hurt myself again. So when we did, Spike and Chainsaw, everything was about special effects.
At a combined weight of 310 pounds, from the heavy metal capital of the world, Los Angeles, Chainsaw and Spike, the Heavy Metal Sisters.
Donna's favorite movie at the time was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. We were all standing around. She said, "How about the name Chainsaw?" And Cimber goes, "Yeah." And then somebody goes, "And she can cut stuff up and have a real blade." I'm just listening to this, and he's going, "Yeah, yeah." And then he hands me some money and goes, "Go to Sears and get the chainsaw and assemble it." I'm thinking, my God, I'm a Jew from the Valley. We hire people to do this. I'm not mechanically inclined.
Contusions, bruises, a gaping hole. A fight with chainsaw really takes its toll. Come wrestle with me, I'm so insane. The only sensation you'll feel is pain.
I'm super heavy metal bound. When it comes to fight, I don't mess around. They say I'm evil. They call me Spike because I use my torch whenever I strike.
We'd set stuff on fire and cut stuff up. Who gets to do that? And I have to give Matt Cimber a lot of credit for that, because he knew what was going to work.
When he met with us pre-production, before we actually aired, He would just use that as his opportunity to drill in our minds what he expected from all of us. And then afterwards, if he didn't get it, he used that opportunity to drill how we let him down, how we failed at our jobs.
I remember Matt telling me that, you know, our job was to get the performance out of the talent, the girls, in any way we could. We'd cajole them, you know, encourage them, whatever it took to get that performance. And that made sense to me, and so that's what we did.
Matt called me fat almost every day of my life, which was very frustrating. Told me I had a fat ass all the time. If I put olives on my salad, I remember one time on tour, he told me how fattening olives are.
It didn't matter who you were, people's buttons were being pushed.
I was just a kid, I was 19, so for me, you know, it was worse than getting screamed at by a parent, because it just comes out of nowhere and you just don't really even know how to handle it. So it's borderline terrifying.
We were having one of our nightly meetings at the Glow House, and we were watching videotapes or whatever, and I don't know, it was like Matt saw me up on the screen and he goes, "Jilby," he goes, "your ass looks like a bunch of mashed potatoes." And I was just so hurt, but he was just so mean. He just did that in front of everybody.
He did that. That was a common motivational tool he would use, was to
in front of like
humiliate you in front of
people.
everybody.
One of the first things that a leader does, they start to manipulate their group so that they act and behave the way they want them to. So he had all these strategies that are real similar to what you would do if you were a abusive husband, or, you know, a verbally abusive wife, or a, you know, all that kind of sicko stuff. But, you know, maybe it comes with being as genius and creative as he was.
Let me tell you, Matt Cimber joins us. You're the creator and TV director of Glow. You feel you're presenting a new image for women, is that so?
They have a great image for young girls, particularly. Our demographics show that most of the people who watch Glow, the largest segment are college students who see the camp and the fun, okay? And a lot of young girls who really emulate them. They show women as independents.
Glow wasn't meant to be successful. Glow was almost an infomercial. It was done with commercials with Fabergé and Brut and the Riviera Hotel, because Meshulam Riklis owned all those companies. And he was putting the commercials into the television show and then giving it away.
Don't be a fool. Use Fabergé. Your mama knows best.
It's only a rumor, so no one can quote me that it's gospel. But originally, Glow was supposed to have been a tax write-off. It wasn't really thought that we were gonna be a success. Bingo, we made money.
You like this violence?
It was just exciting.
People at first didn't know what to make of it, but they watched, and it grew.
If you're not watching wrestling, you're missing a major part of our culture.
We sold our show to 200 markets, the very first television convention.
All of a sudden, it became the water cooler show. People were talking about it.
Many people across the country now are watching a new syndicated TV show called Glow, which stands for Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling.
The Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling.
Will you please welcome the Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling, the girls of Glow.
Every week, the ratings seemed to go up. We were beating other shows, you know, other wrestling shows in the same time slot.
They'd never seen anything like this. And the male wrestlers were jealous, and they'd stop dead in their tracks and sneer at us.
Godiva, specifically, what's the very first game you ever learned to play?
Candyland.
There it is.
All these shows knew who we were. I didn't know that Married with Children executive producers knew who we were.
So, what time's your match?
I don't know. I just hope I don't get another car salesman. They bite.
Count your blessings. Lawyers leave greasy spots.
Okay, check this out. Playboy, December '89. I'm just gonna show you something really fast, because I think this is the one that was signed by Hugh Hefner himself. Look at that. he signed my picture. I'll give you this. There you go. Oh, look at that lipstick. It looks awful. Look at my hair. It looks like wheat, dried up wheat.
When we got Jackie Stallone to be our manager, the Good Girls manager, she was really the star. We were really excited to have her.
This is Sylvester Stallone's mother, Jackie Stallone, right here.
The movement was growing. We were getting really popular in some major markets and didn't know it until we went to a press conference in LA. And we're walking down the street and people are going nuts. Oh my God, it's Ninotchka. Oh my God, it's Fiji. Oh my God, it's like, and we're like, oh my God. You know, it was like we were on a different planet.
Hi, everybody. I'm Babe, the farmer's daughter.
When I did the Donahue show and Married with Children and got 2-page spread in the TV Guide, I was like, whoa. I don't think I even wanted to look at it. I just was enjoying what I was doing and having fun. I just was so happy to be doing the show.
Now, I assume most of you could get a job, on one of the big shows in Vegas, walking out with no top, and isn't that a lot easier?
Not for me. I couldn't walk out with that.
We were constantly in character. I became Ninotchka because I was Ninotchka 24/7. Ninotchka had so much confidence, and she wasn't afraid of anything. And it was very free to be her. I could say anything I wanted to.
Tina Ferrari's the capitalist dream. She won't look so cute face down in the ring. She thinks she's so sexy and so very strong. I will destroy her. It won't take long.
I was actually engaged during Glow, but the guy fell in love with Ninotchka, and he thought I was that strong and that confident and that, and when he found out I wasn't really like that, he dumped me really quick. Isn't that sad?
Little Egypt should never wear her veils into the ring. The way she wrestles, she should wear a shroud.
Sometimes we'd have to just go and do like promotional parties and stuff, and I have no idea how I ended up alone at a party without knowing anybody. And I'm in character, and people are laughing at me. And finally, I'm just like, I'm going. I hate this. So these 4 people in particular were laughing. It just so happened that I was leaving and they were leaving. And so now we're in some parking garage. I'm walking behind them, and they're kind of giggling at me. And then, I don't know why, but I increased my stride. And then they were like, oh, she's coming faster. And I could hear them say that, she's coming faster. So they start to go faster. I was like, oh yeah? They're running to their car, and they're opening, and they can't get in fast enough, and there's somebody at the back. She's coming. And I ended up being able to actually say to one of them, I said, you may want to think twice before you laugh at somebody. I said, because they might just follow you home and kill you. And she's like, oh my God! Oh my God.
Fans, these are some of the finest athletes in all of sports. They've got their training in the streets, on the farm, and in the ring. And this match is already hotter than a firecracker.
When we filmed the show in Las Vegas, fans would come from all over the United States just to see the show.
The showroom at the Riviera Hotel only fit 200 people, and it got to be too much because there'd be 2,000 people waiting outside the door to get in. So they said, we got to move to a bigger facility. And even then, people would be outside hoping that somebody get tired and go so they can come in.
In the moment, I didn't really realize it was a huge deal. When we went on the road, we got some indicators, especially into the South and places like that where wrestling was huge.
People were out in massive numbers everywhere we went.
They want an autograph so bad. I had the hardest time leaving. I was probably the last one on the bus every time.
Oh, I used to love to make them boo. If I get them to boo, and I make children cry. Oh, that was good.
Matilda the Hun loved to eat raw meat, and she would just take a raw steak and just like eat it in the ring and be like, I'm gonna eat you next, you little kid. And the kids would scream, they were really afraid of her.
I can sort of tell from the fan mail that I got, which was probably 300 to 400 letters a week. And they were from little kids saying, gee, I want to be just like Susie Spirit when I grow up. What do you eat for breakfast?
People would send jewelry, money. Some little boy stole his mom's wedding ring and sent it to Sally, the farmer's daughter, because he just loved her. And it came in a regular envelope. Like, he just stole it from his mom and stuck it in there and sent it to her.
It was never the intention to be a kid's show. That's just how it unfolded and developed.
I love that the show was geared towards kids, but also was really super palatable to those guys in fraternity houses that would wake up with their hangovers and watch us on Saturday and Sunday afternoons.
She's got to buy the fur. She grabs a garbage can and dumps Gremlina right where she belongs.
We got away with a lot. There was a lot of politics going on in those sketches.
It was politically incorrect, and everybody loved it.
Matt Cimber pushed the envelope every possible way he could. He tried to offend every group that he possibly could.
I'm going to take all of the jewels, take them out and sell them so I can buy military arms for my country.
Sometimes I didn't really think about the horrible things I was saying about America. We were in Alabama or somewhere in the South, and apparently they were actually afraid for my safety because there was a whole big group there in the audience that actually really wanted to come and kill me. I probably stepped on the American flag or did something really horrible like that.
Matilda the Hun and Hollywood and Vine versus Fiji, Little Fiji and Americana. Here's the American girls coming in, and here comes Matilda the Hun and Hollywood and Vine marching in, Deutschland, Deutschland. It was amazing.
That's what got the audience fired up. They were performing along with us because they could so identify with whatever character they had wanted to be.
Good versus evil. That's one of the underlying messages. The good guys usually won.
I'm Mount, excuse me, Fiji.
Yes, I am Mountain Fiji. I am originally from Pago Pago, American Samoa. Fortunately, I made the 1980 Olympic team. Unfortunately, we had a boycott with Afghanistan, so I couldn't make it. But thank God for Glow, because it's been a very special entity for me, and God bless everybody who's been tuning in, and see you at the Riviera Hotel and Casino.
Yeah!
Mount Fiji was an Olympic shot putter. She was a Samoan who was 5'10", 350 pounds, and the nicest, gentlest, sweetest woman.
The giant of the ring, Mount Fiji! Mount Fiji!
Fiji was absolutely 100% dedicated to Glow. She loved it, she believed in it, she made us believe in it.
Glow's a hit from coast to coast. No need to brag, no need to boast. Let's have a luau with the roast. From Fiji to the fans, I'll make the toast.
She was very, very strong. She could pick you up and throw you without moving her feet.
Matt said she could never leave her feet, and nobody could get her off her feet, even when like 6 people tried to do it.
I love Mount Fiji. I used to call her Shirley Temple because she was so good and so forthright. When she picked me up over her head and threw me out of the ring, it was just spectacular.
Unbeknown to the public, a lot of times we roomed together. But, you know, when that red light came on, it was good versus evil out there. You know, I'm doing my part and she was doing hers.
She was very gentle wrestling even. You know, she was very delicate when, you know, she slammed into you. It was in a gentle way. She was a gentle giant.
Which 5 of you ladies claim you can lift me over your head? Raise your hand. No, come on, Fiji. No way in heck could you do that, huh?
Yes, I can.
No, you can't. Let me tell you why you can't. The reason you can't is because I won't let you. That's the biggest reason. Yeah. You stay away from me, Pete. No. You stay away from me.
My name is Emily Dole, and I portrayed Mountain Fiji on Gorgeous Ladies of Wrestling. Hui! I haven't done that in 15 years. Los Angeles were trying to form a women's football team. So I went to try out, but it flopped. So they told us, try out for this character. So it's going to be a wrestling show. And I said, wrestling show? So I went to where the audition was, and Matt Cimber came out and he said, he just looked out the room and he goes, I want to see you. I want to see you right now, right now, right now. I said, oh my God. So I went inside and said, okay, turn around, turn around, turn around. Very good, very good. You like children? I said, yes, I love children, sir. Do you know how to impersonate characters, like, you know, actors and actresses? I go, Carmen Miranda. I go, tico, 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 do, tico, 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 do.
Tico, 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 tico. Hey, Fiji. Oh, Lord, Justice. I heard Big Bad Mama tried to strangle your pet vegetable. Ooh, she made artichoke.
All right, you're hired. See you in about a week in Vegas. I go, oh, really? I go, okay, okay. He goes, yeah. So I paid my ticket, and I was to report to the Riviera Hotel, and they said, this is your room, your keys, and good luck to you here. I said, thank you. So I made the team.